presents Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed, a radio drama about child sexual abuse. It contains subject matter that may be triggering for survivors. Discretion is advised.
This is a good day. Many truths will come out. Doubts will be no more.
Hola, mija. Lo siento mucho. Ay. Ay, mami, no, no, no. You blame me, no? You wouldn't talk to me.
I did, but not anymore. It's that we're so open. Whoever did this knew they could because it's just us. Come, Maya, abrázame.
You still don't know who?
No, Beto won't say anything. I'm killing my brain trying to think. But look, I talked to this lady at my job. She's a therapist. She gave me these books and she would help him and us. She said it's not our fault. I blame myself too. I could have just stayed with Cisco. I could have made him stay.
It would not have been right, you know. He's, you know.
Yes, I know. He's happy. But he would be furious if I tell him.
I'm sad, but I'm happy too. You're not mad at me anymore.
No, how can I be? I love you, Mai. Beto starts therapy tomorrow. I used to think therapy was only for rich people. But Dr. Dennis, that's her name, let me see that it's for everybody who needs help.
Thank you for listening to Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed. If you or someone you know has been sexually abused, please dial 911 in an emergency or call the Women's Coalition at 340-773-9272 to find out how you can end child sexual abuse.
Hello and welcome to the after show Let's Talk About It, a live call-in show that continues discussing the weekly episodes of Silence Speaks, Secrets Revealed, a radio drama about child sexual abuse presented by the Women's Coalition of St. Croix. The stories are fiction based on fact. I'm your host, Shalene Gums, and today we have with us Annette Scott, who has many titles, including parenting facilitator. It's a live call-in talk show, so remember the number to call is 773-3636, that's 773-FM. If you'd like to send us a question or a comment because you're not comfortable with your voice being on air or would like to remain anonymous, please send us a private message on FB at m.me/WCSTX. That's m.me/WCSTX. We'll get your questions. You can send them on the live as well if you have any comments and you don't mind us knowing who you are. But if you want to remain anonymous, we're trying to find different outlets for you to be able to get in touch with us because we would need to hear back from you. And so, Miss Annette Scott.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we will go ahead and get into some of the questions.
Okay, short and brief. Recently retired from the Department of Health, Division of Mental Health, Alcoholism, and Drug Dependency Services. Show up, I can live now. It took 14 and a half months to get paid, but anyway, that's another story for another show. You can say I'm a community activist. Been a volunteer in many arenas with Women's Coalition, DBSAC, Girl Scouting, crisis response team when I was at the Department of Health. Whenever there's a crisis at the school, they'll call us in. And prevention and outreach. That wraps it up quickly.
Yes. Like I said, she wears many, many hats. The rest of the crew is here as well. Lavon's here, Carrie's here, Debbie's here, and we have Troy today. Troy's back. So thank you, Troy, for coming in. We're going to draft him into the team if he likes it or not. We're going to be nice to him. He got stuck with us, but we appreciate him so much because we really can't work the board. So Annette.
Yes.
First of all, in your capacity as a parent and facilitator, which is why you're here, you heard the episode that just played.
Yes.
The person that was crying was the grandmother. I don't know if you're familiar with the backstory, but the grandmother and the mother were the ones that were having the conversation. The grandmother's hurt because the daughter, being taken up with what happened to her son and her not finding out, wasn't talking to her mother. They all live in the same house. So for those of you that need to catch up, it's on SoundCloud, it's on our YouTube channel, it's on our Facebook page, so you can get the backstories. And we're more than halfway through, people, so get caught up. So, how is parenting affected if the parent has been a victim of child sexual assault?
Oh wow, in so many different ways. Just post-traumatic, in having to deal with it, and the guilt feelings and the isolation, and even feeling that it might have been their fault because that's how they're tricked into it, and it's held so long in silence.
Right.
And then they sometimes will be emotionally disconnected with their children.
Yeah.
And it's a hard thing. It's
It
really
is.
a hard thing. And they need to reconnect, do some self-forgiving. Number one, it's never your fault.
Right.
And acknowledgement that it did happen, and most importantly, you have to seek that counseling. You cannot get over it or through it by yourself. A lot of times, it may happen to an elder before who said, well, I got over it, you need to get over it. You don't get over that.
Right.
You know, that's a assault.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it hurts. So what are the strategies, some of the strategies that parents can use in dealing what may be the guilt issues that you were talking about from having a child that has been sexually abused?
Okay, first of all, believing that child.
Right.
I don't care if that's your boo.
Yeah.
You better believe that child, because on most high percentages, it's true. A lot of times it's a close member, family member, boyfriend, or whoever is within the close proximity of your household. Once for all, you acknowledge it, that it happened. That's the hard part, because you weren't there to protect your child. Okay?
Right.
So that acknowledgement first. Then both need to seek the counseling. The child, so that she can survive it, or he, because it does happen to male children too, unfortunately, just as much. I mean, not as much, but female children are more sexually assaulted. But we do, statistics that male children have been assaulted too. Seek that counseling. That self-forgiveness must come. That self-healing has to come first.
Yeah.
Because you can't move forward unless you do that.
Right.
And then also, once you believe that child, you seek the counseling and you start the healing process. And it's baby steps. It's that one step of reconnecting with your child and giving those hugs and kisses and letting your child know it's not your fault, and even apologizing and being humble to the child, because when you don't believe the child, you have just lost that child's trust
Altogether.
for a lifetime. And that child doesn't trust adults anymore, because the one factor that's supposed to protect the child was not there, for whatever reason. So you have to come over those hurdles first. So it's a lot.
It is a lot. And because we're in the parenting facilitator mode right now, right?
Oh, yes.
What may be some behaviors that require discipline by behaviors expressed by a child that has been sexually assaulted? Because we know that they start to act up in different ways.
Oh yeah.
And so what are some of the ways that you can be able to discipline a child when you know that they've been sexually assaulted? What are the best ways that you can deal with them? Because if they start to throw tantrums, you can't just,
lift them up.
no, you can't do that. You can't do that because you understand where it's coming from. So what are some of the ways that they can deal with that?
Once that you know that it happened to your child, and depending on the age group, let's start with the preschooler.
Okay.
Okay, the preschooler will throw tantrums or clinging, don't want to be with anybody. So you have to be patient with that child. And then with the older ones, the acting out and the bullying, and even a head start, preschooler would start to bully people also.
Right.
Because they were bullied.
Right.
Some of the things that you may see in preschooler is they may actually try to be forceful with another preschooler. By actually trying to, kind of sexually act out on them, or go in the bathroom with them, or try and touch their private parts and stuff like that. Those are things of acting out. So how do you discipline? You can't go like this. Don't touch that, Charlie.
Right.
No, you have to actually, at that age level, explain to them that that's not what you're supposed to do, and in the language that they understand, to say that's not what you're supposed to do. And if it continues, well, counseling should have started to begin once you found out the child was sexually assaulted, and trying to deter that type of behavior to behavior of, you have to re-socialize them into their group of people, children, to let them know that's not how you behave. And then with preteens and teenagers, it's a little more harsher. They may start, and even with preschoolers, they may revert from being an outgoing toddler to an introverted toddler and scared all the time and stuff like that. And depending on the severity of the assault, you know, there's a lot going on there. And then with the preteens and teenagers, which is really, you may see them start being aggressive with other children and stuff like that, and also acting out sexually. Because they were so injured, but that this is their response to the injury that occurred on them sexually.
Right.
Okay, and so how do you discipline it? Again, that first stage, and y'all gonna get tired of me saying the counseling part, because that part helps the child to sort out those mixed feelings of hurt, guilt, pain, distrust. So
Right.
you've got to work with that. And when you see these behaviors, to discipline them, you got to give them some consequences. Not battering them or beating them and telling them, you know, that's, especially when they start to take pictures of themselves and putting it out there in social media because they're rebelling
Right.
with what happened to them. So you have to put in some disciplines that will be effective. So if they're very severe, and it depends on the height of the severity, if they're acting out sexually and stuff like that, you've got to really bring them in close to you and let them know that, you know, I'm sorry this happened to you, but this is what you need to be doing to get yourself back on the right track. Promiscuous behavior, sexing everybody in class and stuff like that, you're going to get harmed like that. Talk about STDs with them, do some family counseling, some one-on-one with the child first, and then whoever's within the household. Is there any media being teased on them and bullying on them because the incident happened? Because we live in a small community.
Right.
Somebody's going to hear something and they're going
Right.
to put it out there. So you have to counteract that social media bullying on that child, and then the child bullying other people too, because they're getting tired of being bullied. So
Right.
it's a whole lot of dynamics, and you can only take each part each time it happens.
Right.
If they're acting out sexually,
Right.
you got to pull them in and do
Right.
that. If it's a toddler acting out, you've got to pull them in and stuff like that. And sometimes you have to use dolls and stuff like that so that you can interact with them and say, this is that. They're going like this. No, that's
Right.
not how you treat a friend. You don't do that to your friend, you know, and things like that. But the consequence could, if they have driving, they don't get to use the car. Chaperone, that teen who's very sexually active, get them into the clinic, get them tested, get some things to protect them and stuff like that, and show them the consequences. It can't be ignored and say, this is going to go away. No, it's going to act out more
Right.
severely, and then other people will take advantage of that behavior.
Yes.
They will take advantage
Very
of
much
that
so.
behavior.
Yes.
So it's a lot.
It is.
And like I said, it's baby steps to be, and you got to be patient. You got to be strong as the parent.
Yeah.
You know, and you got to see that one-on-one too. Help me. What can I do? You
Yeah.
know, so.
And a lot of times we look at the effects that it has on the child, but not on the parents. You know, apart from feeling guilty and your whole life changing, you know, and like you said, going through the guilt feelings. I mean, where was I when this was happening to my child, and why couldn't I stop it? And then you have to deal with your own emotions plus your child emotions. And so that's one of the reasons why, you know, especially, that's why we're bringing you in as a parenting facilitator. Because, you know, the first thing is, I'm frustrated, I'm hurt, I feel bad, and this is happening to you, and then you're acting out. It's like, why are you doing this? Did you want this? And, you know, then we start
Those words.
Yes.
Breathe. We teach a lot of
Yes.
breathing exercise, because what if the parent that you're dealing with the child, it happened to her,
Right,
with her parent,
right.
and it was never addressed. So the dynamics get wider and wider and wider. You're like, oh my goodness, okay, let's pull it back.
Yeah.
And that happens sometimes. And one thing about the parenting classes that we do at the Women's Coalition is non-judgmental.
Right.
And it's confidential.
Right.
So you get to have that one-on-one at times. You know, sometimes we're in group settings, but when there's a time for that one-on-one, one of the facilitators will break off and deal with the parent one-on-one and stuff like that. So it's a lot of times it depends on what's going on with the classes and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
we'll get a chance to talk about what we do in those classes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Trust me, you're getting a chance to do that. Okay, so the last question before the universal question, all right?
Okay.
So, because the very last question is the universal. Everybody has to answer that.
Okay.
So, with the way that parenting is done, I had used the word stigma, but maybe that's not the right word for it. With the community version of what parenting should be, you know,
Right.
what would you suggest as ways to focus and encourage effective discipline? Because we really can't, you know, grab them around the throat and...
That's not allowed anymore.
No, you know, you can't throw the shoes you can't throw the shoes from across the room. And, you know, and how is the community version of what parenting should be different from what parenting has become, to how does all of that affect what happens with a child that's been put in a position where they're already hurt, and discipline feels like another hurt.
Punishment.
Yes.
Right. So what you have to do is separate discipline versus punishment.
Okay.
And understanding what discipline is. Discipline is to correct the negative or at-risk behavior of the child.
Right.
And you can't do that old school backhand slap and punching in the chest and stuff like that. That's child abuse. That's another segment.
day for
But you've got to discipline a child who has been hurt and injured, because how are they going to know the difference?
Right.
All right, it's getting them to be confident back in you, to let them know that you are there to protect them. Okay, you weren't there to protect them because they got injured in your care with your man or your boyfriend or your family member or their dad or whatever, you know. And the hard thing is if that person is still in that household.
Right.
Okay, that's another dynamic.
Altogether.
That's another dynamic, and most likely the perpetrator who sexually assaulted the individual still lives in the community.
Right.
So they're passing this person if they're
On a
not
regular basis.
incarcerated.
Yeah.
And then they get out, so they're passing that person. That's another thing.
Yeah.
So to discipline that child is with understanding, soft but firm discipline, to say, don't cuss them and curse them in harsh words. We have to teach, and we have to do tender care. Like, say, Shalene, you're my child, and you did something off the hook that just shocked me off of it. We're in therapy already, we're getting through the sexual assault and stuff like that. But then you're a typical teen with genes who, you know, you're out there, you're ready now. But you gotta pull it in and deal with that point of the sexual behavior to say, all right, I let you go to the movies with your friends, you deterred yourself from the movie, you went to your friend's house, and you had a wild out night. Well, guess what? You're not going the next time with your friends, and this is the reason why. And sometimes it takes you to sign a contract with your child and put those disciplines in to say, because sometimes we do these harsh disciplines, you're punished for a month. That's okay. In my room, you put me in my room for a month. I got my TV, got my internet, got my game. No, that's too long. It's not effective. Effective discipline is depending on how old the child is, and take that. Say it's the cell phone that they do all this stuff on. That cell phone is removed for that week or 10 days or whatever. I wouldn't push it past a week. 7 days is enough for any type of discipline for a child. It usually works. You have some children who are more strong-willed. You don't want to break their will, but you want to show them that what you did is going to be a consequence to it. And you put those effective consequences. And everything doesn't work for a child. You have to kind of play with it. But whatever discipline you put in, you gotta live with it.
Right.
Now, if you have a child who's hyperactive and crazy like me, you don't want them in the house 7 days. you know,
That's true.
You have to do something else.
Yeah.
Community cleanup. Community cleanup. You get to clean up this block this day, put that little yellow reflective jacket on them, give them a little bag. That's a good discipline. And gloves. Okay, don't forget the gloves. Okay? And that's an effective discipline. Wash the car, you know, or help at the community center. You know, do some reading to a senior or to somebody. You gotta help them to be humble in their discipline and not rebellious in their discipline. When we think about the discipline that we had when we were little, that was punishment. What we learned from it, I can say what I learned from it is not to get caught. Serious.
And that's the truth.
You know, if I break
Don't get caught.
If I break curfew, I know, well, you know, I'm done. I'm going to break the curfew. So I know my aunt did an effective discipline on me because I didn't mind being punished because I knew I'll get over it. But she made me stay in the front yard every afternoon while all my friends and cousins were running up and down. That was harsh discipline because I had to sit there. They're like, "Can you come out to play?" No, I'm under punishment. You know, so that worked for me.
Yeah.
So you got to see what works with your child and stuff like that. And it's not an easy task. You know, the little ones are a little more easier to discipline. You know, because you put them in timeout. 1 minute they're a year old. Sometimes you got to sit there with them and you got to cross your legs over. You know, so it depends. It depends on the child. Some children are easier to discipline than others.
Right.
But the end is that they learn from what they did wrong.
Right.
They lower their risk factors, especially when they're sexually active or because they were sexually abused. They're acting out sexually, so you want to lower that risk factor for them and let them see it because they've got these blinders on.
Right.
They're hurting. They're like, what's
Hey.
up for you? Okay,
Yeah.
so it's
Yeah.
not easy.
You were gonna say something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks. Hi, I just wanted to say I love the line in the story today when the mom realizes that therapy is for everybody. That you don't have to be rich to get help. And I just want to say that.
Yes,
Yeah.
and that's important.
Oh, and the contract that you were talking about, and that
Yes,
is so
the contract,
important
yeah.
for positive reinforcement.
Reinforcement, yes. It works, especially with
It does
the
work.
children. Especially when they've got that first driver's license.
But the contract makes them responsible. They have to like write down that they acknowledge their behavior.
Right.
You know, and so
It is, and the input, what we do too is, how should I discipline you? Because it's your discipline. Some of them try to get slick, and you just say, no, that's not right. Okay, what would you do? What should you do if I was the child? Most of them are very fair in their discipline, you know, and it's something that's going to work because they're putting the self-discipline, the self-acknowledgement for what they did, and they feel, you know, you're right, you know, what I did was way out of that, and you discuss it to say why it was done, how could you have done it differently, and prevent it from happening again. You know, just like we do the why, where, what, why, and how. It works. You know, it works. Like I said, it's a process, though.
It is a process. So I'm going to have you talk a little bit, because we're going to run out of time as usual. I'm going to have you talk a little bit about what happens in parenting. Because I know for most people, all the contract and all that stuff that you're talking about sounds extremely foreign. It sounds like Greek to most people. Have a contract with my child, now I bring him into the world. If you do something, I'll take him back out. You know, that is not, I ain't writing no contract, I ain't trying to have, no, we ain't doing that. You know what I mean? So talk a little bit about the reasons why we do parenting the way we do parenting, the why you encourage parenting in a different way. Because really, as many of us got beat, we literally just learned not to get beat. Yes. We just literally learned not to get caught. You know what I mean? And then we became really, really good philosophers. We could rationalize the paint off the wall because we were trying to avoid this. You know what I mean? So talk a little bit about what you do, and then you'll get the universal question.
Okay, the most important thing, the parenting skill classes at the Coalition is free. It's on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 6 to 8. We also have babysitting. We start off with introduction and what is parenting. And this is 21st parenting, so it's completely different from how we were raised. And then we do different types of parenting. You have single, blended, divorce, foster care, grandparents, and same gender families. You also have the stages of development, 0 to 4, 4 to 12, and 13 to 18 years old. We also encourage grandparents to join because a lot of grandparents are parenting their grandchildren.
Right.
All right? So we also do child abuse and domestic violence. Discipline versus punishment. And amazingly, that's the longest segment that we do. It goes
you have to re-educate.
Yeah, not only that, and you get a lot of tug and pull, and it's, you know, we can agree to disagree, but we're just going to introduce you, not show you or tell you, we're introducing you to new techniques that work.
Right.
And a lot of times the parents come back to say, it worked. I said, see? You know? And then effects of drugs, alcohol, and substance abuse, that affects the family terribly.
Yes, it does.
Terribly. And time management, balancing work and family, employment, money management, goal setting, and reviewing the previous information, like a little check-in to say, what did you get out of it? Now you're gonna have a parent, I ain't get a damn thing out of it. Thank you, bye. I'm like, okay, you know, that's on you.
Right.
It's not on us, you know, it's on you. So hopefully a high percentage of the parents do get something, take away something and stuff like that. Because it's about changing the norms.
It is.
And changing norms, you know, is very hard.
Oh, yes.
Community norms are hard.
It is.
You know.
Because you have to unlearn and relearn. And that's never easy. Because change sounds good, but it is never easy.
It hurts.
It does. Painful, painful. All right, so the universal question.
Don't make me do it.
If I'm saying, the universal question, if you had one wish for the community when it came to a solution to this problem, child sexual assault, what would it be?
Believe your child.
All right.
Acknowledge. And seek help.
See?
Yeah.
Everybody's saying the same thing. So we all get
So
this
it must
all
be
the time.
true.
Believe your child. Acknowledge it.
Ooh. Even if that child's a liar. And set on fire. Ooh, yeah. Still believe them. Believe them.
Believe them.
You have to
Yes.
believe them.
And it's, you know, it's easy to say that, you know, and this is where we get into trouble. Well, I don't know about you, but this is where I get into trouble because I have these things about the victim's always guilty until proven innocent when it comes to the criminal justice system.
Yeah.
children don't become liars because they were born that way. It's a learned behavior. Most people don't think about it like that.
Right.
If I see you lie about something and you get away with it because I'm an imitator, I'm gonna lie about it too. So where you think they get the line from? But anyway, we're gonna leave that.
No, but
we're gonna let them from the right. And so a lot of things, you know, because we have to check ourselves with our kids. And a lot of times we don't recognize our own behaviors until we see them in our children. And then we have to do the self-check. Because what's the hardest part of parenting? The fact that it's reflective?
It's reflective, and it's a mirror image.
Yeah, it is.
Because when you have a 3-year-old cussing in the nursery part, I mean the child care part, and then you come into the adult part, and we allow the parents to be free spoken. You can't curse the teacher, number one. You just can't. You know, that's my rule, my house rule. You cannot call Mrs. Scott up that name. Right. So, and they cuss freely, and then you go on the children's side, and hey, I have to come out with one of the other facilitators or the babysitter says, you can't use that language, you know, and we have to talk nicer to each other. It's hard. Yeah. It's hard, but we got to learn nice words, nice words. Nice words, because the verbal abuse is... It's off the hook. Yeah. And we do it sometimes without even realizing it, yeah. And you can see children crumble. I think the worst thing I saw at Juanita Garden one time was we just finishing an outreach there, and the mother was in the little yard talking to because he dirted up his sneakers and she cussed him, your friggin' father don't pay these friggin' shoes, you mother Scott. I'm like, and he just kept shrinking down because she was yelling on him because he dirtied his sneakers. Now listen, parents, sneakers are for running, am I right or wrong?
That's right.
Yeah. So they're gonna get dirty. So your responsibility when you're talking about parenting is to wash those sneakers. Or if he's at an age, teach him how to wash his sneakers. Right. But don't cuss him down to say he's just like his no good father. His father didn't buy these and stuff like that. And it's a male child, so you know he's shrinking, right? Right. His self-esteem is torn down. You can't do that. And then he becomes angry and you wonder why. Yeah. And then so, you start to cuss you, then you... And then you wonder, yeah. And so a lot of times we don't look at the effects of what we say and how we say it. And how it affects the children or how it affects us. The community. The community. Because the other thing about that too is that they grow up, right? They're not children forever. And then they get to 16, 17, 18, 19, and they're big enough to do this back. So we're trying to stop that from now. If we have conflict resolution and all the rest of it, then we don't have to worry about the little 5-year-old that got cussed out getting to 18 and cussing everybody else out. Because they're angry. Or worse, you know. Because, you know, right, because I'm not going to hit you if I have a gun. No. And we're going to move on from that. Thank you, Miss Scott. Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate you. Again, we didn't have anybody call in, but I'm pretty sure we're going to get the questions. They're going to roll in afterwards. So remember, thank you for listening to or tuning in to Silence Speak, Secrets Reveal and the after show. Let's talk about it. The program is funded from a grant from RALIANCE and is a collaborative initiative to end sexual violence in one generation, made possible through a commitment from the NFL. Its contents are solely the responsibility of the authors and do not necessarily represent the official view of the NFL. And is that for us? Oh, good.
Good afternoon, Outline 5.
Hi, I'm trying to get into the women's television session that's going on right now.
Hi, talk to us.
Hi, my name is Tamisha Gonzalez.
Hello.
Hi, Shalene, my love.
How are you?
I'm doing fine, and you?
I'm fine, thank you.
I'm calling actually from Florida.
Yes.
And I just wanted to say for anyone that's listening, you don't wait for things to happen to go into these parenting classes. I've been a member of Women's Coalition, well actually a client for several years. I've gone to these parenting classes and not only did they help me with it, but as my children grew older, it gave me the keys that I needed to unlock the doors of communication with my kids as they got older.
Awesome.
So don't sit and wait for something to happen. You understand what I'm saying? Do it now.
Yes.
It gets better in the long run.
It does.
The information that you gain today will be able to help you throughout, tomorrow, years to come. It works.
Yes. Thank you so much.
So nice.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And I'm so proud of you, lady.
I really appreciate you guys, and please continue with the good work.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right, bye. Sorry for the scream, y'all. I love that girl so much. She's such an amazing person. Through everything that she's been through, she's turned out to be genius, amazing, absolutely fantastic. And she's right. She took advantage of the help that was given, and she's been sensational. I'm so proud of her. So if you need help, like she was saying, don't wait until the problem becomes